But one of the questions that came in, I'd like to start off with is, historically, privacy concerns have prevented the RCDs from feeling comfortable about sharing project locations, et cetera. Is there resistance due to privacy concerns, or do we expect widespread adoption of this tool across California RCDs?
I think that one of the things, and I would want Brian's opinion also here, I think what I've seen is definitely concerns because we are a public agency and we're subject to, the Public Records Act, and you really do have to be careful about sharing personal information, particularly for individual residents. And I think the way that's been handled here is the ability to put a general location. You can just leave it at watershed if you want. You don't have to have a specific, you can just have a polygon in the general area where the project is occurring. And that seems to be pretty comfortable for people. And I think we would, if it was a very concerned property owner or group, I think we would refine detail, like, be considerate of that when we name the project.
Right.
For example, Brian was entering in Goose Creek Golf Course. If they didn't want to be known, we would think of a different project name.
Right. We probably wouldn't have put a pin right on top of the golf course,
right.
for example.
But that's a good concern. But you do, because of the level of control you have in entering in your own data, you can make it as private as you need to.
Yeah, that has come up with some other groups as well. And one of the things that's on our wish list or our backlog is the ability at the programmatic level to hide the detailed location. So still allow it to be entered in for internal purposes, but for public viewing, use, for example, the centroid of the RCD district boundary or the watershed or what have you. So it's something that we're tracking, and I hope to be able to add to the system sometime soon.
Great. We do have another question here. How do RCDs deal with how project summaries are written? Do they have a set of copy rules that are applied by all the participants using the tracker?
So maybe I'll start, and then I'd love to hear how Mandy and Brian are dealing with it. But we very intentionally, after a lot of discussion with the RCDs, set the project description character length to be somewhat small. And the idea is to really force people to be concise and brief and to tell the story, but so also so that it fits on the 2-page fact sheet. And so that some people are kind of bummed by that. Like, I really want to be able to tell the full story and get all the details and the neat techniques we're using. And so another idea that's come up is be able to add like an attachment to a project and allow people to attach a PDF or a Word document that goes into all sorts of detail for folks that want it. So I think that's probably something that's coming soon, but not in the system right now. But then the other part of the question was less about the length and more just about maybe the quality or kind of content standards. And I don't know, Mandy and Brian, have you guys, has that come up?
I think that's why you choose a district and project administrator.
Right. So that demo that I just ran, those projects were only entered in as proposals. Those weren't viewable to just anybody. Those stay in a set spot where all the proposals are until they're reviewed. So at the very least, QC consists of someone entering the project and then the project steward reviewing it. However, those can be the same person. So for example, I just entered that in as someone entering the project. And then since I'm the project steward, I would also be the one who would give final approval of it. So that's the only like concrete level of review at this point, as far as I'm aware.
But I think also districts select somebody who they feel is the most, kind of, a good writer, somebody who can put together project information in a really concise manner. So I think that's another thing that's kind of encouraged of districts that are participating. So there is a, kind of higher level oversight where somebody reviews what you did, but you also want to start with someone who is doing all, if not the majority of your project reviews, so that you don't have 20 people from your district all entering projects in all in a different manner. You want to have kind of that one person.
Great. One person asked if they'll get a copy of the webinar to share. I am recording today's webinar, and it will be posted to our website. All attendees and actually registrants who aren't able to make it will get emails tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, with a link to that, so you can access that. If you'd like a PDF of the presentation deck, you can email me and just respond to that email that you'll be getting.
And we also, I've heard a couple people ask, and I wanted to ask Matt, what Sitka's process generally is for a new, organization that's interested in adapting this model for themselves, kind of what the beginning of that is, what that looks like.
Yeah, we're going through that with, gosh, 4 or 5 different organizations right now. It starts with getting an understanding of what is the program's objectives. Do they have a framework? What are their strategies for accomplishing their conservation or sustainable development goals? And do they have a history of tracking performance? Do they have performance measures in place? Mm-hmm. And so that's really the foundation of these of the system, and that's where I think you get the most value out of a system like Project Tracker, like Project Firma. And so if they don't have those things in place, we have a partner that we often work with, or a set of partners that can actually come in and help folks develop performance measures. Sitka's dedicated, for 10 years, all we've done is build systems for this space. And so we know enough to know when performance measures are needed, or when maybe the structure of them aren't quite ideal. They're not necessarily good performance measures for measuring the objectives. But as far as the hard work of stakeholder engagement and getting people around a diverse group of folks around a table to come up with the right performance measures, that's where we kind of pull in experts. And there's firms out there like Environmental Incentives and another one's Foundations of Success. Those organizations, that's all that they do. And so that can be very helpful. But we also have, to help people envision and get an idea of what it might be like, we have the ability to very quickly stand up a demonstration site. So we've done that for Idaho Soil and Water Conservation Commission, for a group called the International Year of the Salmon up in Canada, for a group here in Oregon. Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board has had some focused investment partnerships, and we just recently set up a demo for a program based in Ashland, Oregon, or that area. So part of it is getting people excited about the potential of what could be there, but then also having those conversations around, all right, what are the programmatic underpinnings that we want to elevate and report on, and getting that structure in place. And sometimes it's all set up and you have it. Other times you have to slow down a little bit, get at least a strong man together, try it out in the system, enter a few projects, and see how that works.
And I think just the level of experience you guys have in working with so many groups that have this kind of broad user capacity, funding, program focus, helps people narrow, what exactly it is they're asking for, so you can build the most effective platform.
Yeah, the other thing we do is it's going to reach a point where poor Jean at TRPA won't be able to sustain it, but she's been very willing to get on the phone and talk with folks who are in the shopping aisle, kind of like, is this a good investment? How would it work? What kind of time is it going to require of me and my staff? And Jean's more than happy to get on the phone with folks. And Brittany and Patricia, they also from the Mendocino and Gold Ridge are also been very helpful. I mean, you guys are great. We love working with you. You're super, you have an orientation to partnering and helping folks out. So it feels good to leverage that. I mean, TRPA put over $1 million into the system, and now we're able to stand up a new instance for less than 1/10 of that. So, yeah.
Wonderful.